Listen to this podcast now on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Why is the middle class shrinking? Why are people facing an affordability crisis while marginalized individuals called informals grow in numbers? Join me as I travel the world, speaking with people living in invisibility, the leaders working to solve it, and uncovering the hard truths shaping our economy and daily reality.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform. In the squadron, they called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Tell me about the Straits of Hormuz. Oh boy, I really want to talk about the Straits of Hormuz. The Straits of Hormuz, where the hell is that? That is that little gateway into the Persian Gulf. And it's very interesting because Iran and Oman, I think those are the two countries, right? You can basically see each country. It's a very narrow, it's almost like a canal. And access to that thing is tricky, even in the best of times. Right now, you know what happened? All of the insurance companies revoked their insurance for the ships. And they don't want to move those ships unless they have insurance. So they got a bunch of ships right now. You can't have ships in a war zone. And the insurers don't want them moving. So they're all just, they've stopped in place. How about that? Insurance in a war. You know what they need? One of those crazy insurance companies, not Geico, Lloyd's of London. You can get them to insure anything. Granted, it'll be very expensive. You know who they used to insure a lot? Astronauts. That is a very, very dangerous thing. Lloyd's of London. Let's peruse everything. We're not getting too much in the way of, hard facts from Central Command because they want to keep the enemy guessing. We don't want the enemy knowing what we know. And, it makes sense to me. You don't want to actually spell things out right now. So we'll get the information sooner or later. President Trump said earlier today that officials the United States had eyed as potential new leaders of Iran had been killed in the U.S.-Israeli bombing campaign and said that the worst outcome would be that whoever takes over the country could be as bad as their predecessors. He just spoke to reporters, and President Trump claimed that Iran was about to attack its neighbor Israel. Wow. And he made the decision to go to war to preempt that action. Officials with access to U.S. intelligence have said that Mr. Trump has exaggerated the immediacy of any threat Iran posed to the United States. Well, I've been reading in the headlines for years now that they were on the verge of a great big nuclear weapon. Hey, do me a favor. Did we get the Senator Tillis sound on Kristi Noem? Did Lou give you those? Go ahead and give you those. He was breaking the chops of Kristi Noem about security, about that dog she shot a while back. Really nasty stuff, but maybe it has to be said. Maybe you got to kind of come right out. Global stock markets tumbled today, and the price of oil surged as the widening conflict in the Middle East sent a shudder through the world economy, and American and Israeli officials signaled that their bombing campaign against Iran could last for weeks. At the White House, Mr. Trump predicted oil prices would fall once the fighting stopped. Merz is his name. Merz, head of Germany, said the high oil prices were damaging the world economy, an argument for ending the war quickly. Asked who he would like to take over Iran, Mr. Trump gave a strikingly blunt answer. Most of the people we had in mind are dead, he said. Now we have another group. They may be dead also, based on reports. So you have a third wave coming. Pretty soon, we're not going to know anybody. When asked about a worst case scenario, I guess worst case would be we do this and somebody takes over who's as bad as the previous person, right? That could happen. We don't want that to happen. It would probably be the worst. You go through this and in 5 years you realize you put somebody in who's no better. That's a thing. But you know what? Even if they're no better domestically, and I want everybody to be free and happy. But the objectives of this war, stop the nuclear, stop the exportation of terror, the funding of terror, and curtail or eliminate their ballistic missile capacity. If those things are achieved, we're good. Now, What's going on with Spain? We are cutting all of our trade with Spain. Huh. What did they do? Are they mouthing off about what we're doing over there? Spain is a NATO ally. Let's see what's going on there. Yeah, Trump lashed out at Spain on Monday, saying that the U.S. would end trade with the European country after it said it wouldn't allow the U.S. access to its bases as part of the Iran strikes. So we're going to cut off all trade with Spain. We don't want anything to do with Spain. This isn't the first time they screwed us over. Do you remember when we had to strike Libya? Ronald Reagan, I think it was, as a Libyan mission. We sent F-111 aircrafts from England all the way down to Libya. And I know France did not let us fly over. Was Spain one of those countries as well? I have to look into that. But it cost us enormously in terms of time in the air, danger to the pilots. It complicated that mission. I think we just should have flown over France. We have our Tom Tillis. Tom Tillis, what a character. You know, he's leaving the Senate. He's a Republican, but he kind of hates Trump. And he's laying into Kristi Noem, Homeland Security Secretary. A lot of knives are out for Kristi Noem. A lot of people don't want her to have that job anymore, including people who work at the White House. I know this because they told me. I won't say who, though. I can't. It was a promise I made. Go ahead.
Why am I disappointed with Secretary Noem? Because we're not going after enough people who did this damage at the expense of running numbers that Stephen Miller wants out of the White House. We just want numbers. We want 1,000 a day, 6,000 a day, 9,000 a day because numbers matter, right? No, they don't matter. Quality matters, not quantity, quality. And what we've seen is a disaster. Under your leadership, Ms. Noem, a disaster. What we've seen is innocent people getting detained that turn out are American citizens. I could talk about the culture that's been created here with Stephen Miller aiding and abetting. I heard first reports that he was the one that said it was a domestic terrorist situation where 2 people lost their lives in Minneapolis. I've heard that report. Maybe you can refute it. I don't know that we'll have time for you to respond because I'm giving you a performance evaluation here. I'm not looking for a response.
Huh. All right. And then he went there. He brought up the dead dog. The dead dog. Now, Kristi Noem wrote the most bizarre autobiography where she bragged about killing a dog that was acting up. I guess she lived on a ranch in South Dakota, North Dakota, wherever the hell she's from. It was the strangest thing. And Tom Tillis went there. Go ahead.
And I'll give you a good example of one that does. The passage where you talk about killing a dog that was 14 months old. I train dogs, all right? And you are a farmer. You should know better. You should know that if you're going out to a hunting lodge and you're putting pheasants out and you're putting dogs out, you don't take a puppy out there. A 14-month-old dog is basically a teenager in dog years. You decided to kill that dog because you had not invested the appropriate time in training, and then you have the audacity to go into a book and say it's a leadership lesson about tough choices. It's in your book. We could play it if we had time. At that same lunch hour, you killed a goat. And you killed the goat because you said it was behaving badly. You are a farmer. You don't castrate a goat. They behave badly. You should have probably done that before. But my point is, those are bad decisions made in the heat of the moment. Not unlike what happened up in Minneapolis. We're an exceptional nation. And one of the reasons we're exceptional is we expect exceptional leadership. And you've demonstrated anything but that in the time that I've seen you responding to the emergency in North Carolina and across the Southeast and acknowledging when mistakes are made and speaking too soon for the expedient of social media or whatever it is. I'll leave you with this, Ms. Noem. I'm expecting answers to Charlotte's Web. I requested it a month ago.
That's it. Charlotte's Web. Look, I'm not a big Tom Tillis fan in a lot of ways, and actually now it's all coming back to me. He was one of those guys who, January 6th was an insurrection, and they all must be held accountable, and he was really giving Trump a hard time, and all my MAGA friends and January 6ers pretending that they were Nazis and all that stuff. So that's a major strike against him. Also, I know that he voted certain ways that actually he did not believe, he did not think, but he did it for political expediency. So I don't like that. And even though Kristi Noem, I'm no great fan of, I don't think I liked what he did right there. I mean, that book came out. When the hell did it come out? 2024? Now you're going to ask questions. What about the confirmation hearings? I also don't agree that Minneapolis was a problem. Alex Preddy, I mean, that guy went in there and pushed cops. So did, what the hell's her name? Good? Renee Good? Was that her name? She tried to run over a cop. Maybe did she mean to or not? She hit the gas with a cop right in front of the car. I have some messages from U.S. Central Command. U.S. Central Command, they're responsible for the Middle East. That is their AOR. Have you ever heard that abbreviation? AOR. Hey, this bothers me. People say acronym when they mean abbreviation, and they say abbreviation when they mean acronym. An acronym is like NATO. NATO, where the abbreviation actually says a word, right? So NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. AOR, abbreviation, not an acronym. Anyway, AOR stands for Area of Responsibility. CENTCOM is kind of responsible for this region of the world. They've been doing the planning. They've been doing the executing. The Iranian regime is using mobile launchers to indiscriminately fire missiles in an attempt to inflict maximum harm across the region. U.S. forces are hunting these threats down, and without apology or hesitation, we are taking them out. Also, they report U.S. forces have destroyed Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps command and control facilities, Iranian air defense capabilities, missile and drone launch sites, and military airfields during sustained operations. We will continue to take decisive action against imminent threats posed by the Iranian regime. Secretary of War stated this morning, U.S. forces are hitting Iran surgically, overwhelmingly, and unapologetically. Operation Epic Fury is laser focused on destroying Iranian offensive missiles. I see we're getting some new weapon systems are working out. Let's see. We have land launchers. We also have one-way drones. They call them kamikaze drones. We launch these drones, and they fly over and they hit their target. They're not expected to come back. And look, all this stuff has been perfected almost. Perfected. The first Gulf War, Iraq, we didn't have this level of sophistication. We didn't have this endurance. Hey, it's really interesting to look at the map of the world right now. I have a special map that shows every airplane flying in the world. Every airplane that's flying right now is on my map. You can get it yourself, Flight Radar. And you got planes over every single country, every single state, except, of course, Iran. It's conspicuously lacking in civil air traffic. Not one civilian plane is flying over that country. Why? Well, they don't want to get shot. And that's been coordinated, and they gave the message, and that's why this thing wasn't too much of a surprise to some of us. Hey, I'm going to be talking to Blaine Holt, General Blaine Holt. That guy, you could have set your watch to it. He told me last Wednesday that the bombs were going to start dropping Friday after the close of business on Wall Street. And they started that, they did, right before the stock market opened on Monday. He's been totally right about everything. I so appreciate that. I'm so kind of in awe of that. One more time. If anybody wants to know what the hell Iran is all about, just look at who they're firing back at. They're firing back at hotels, civilian airports, grocery stores. Yes, they've lobbed a few missiles at American bases, but they're targeting civilians as well. Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, cut 7, please.
The United States would not deliberately target a school. Our objectives are missiles, both the ability to manufacture them and the ability to launch them, and the one-way attract drones. That would be our focus, and that's what we would be focused on. We would have no interest and, frankly, no incentive to target civilian infrastructure. The Iranians are, on the other hand, targeting civilian infrastructure. You guys have seen it. I'm sure you've seen it. They're hitting hotels. They're hitting embassies. They're hitting airports. They're hitting oil infrastructure.
How about that? Why would they do such a thing? Well, that's what they do. They think they are morally superior, that we're all dogs in comparison to them and their Shiite Muslim, right? I'm talking about the leaders, the mullahs and the rest. They think they are morally superior and that we are subhuman and they can do what they want. But I think those days are pretty much over.
Greg Kelly.
Let's go, Brandon.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our country has to offer, especially health care. Across every state, every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many discounts will you stack up? Tap the banner or visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
Greg Kelly on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Well, it's one thing if Tom Tillis is taking on Kristi Noem, Homeland Security Secretary. He's a bit of a rhino. He's, I think at heart, he's a never Trumper. But John Kennedy, my friend, the good old boy from Louisiana, good old boy who's smart as hell, by the way. And he has a folksy way about him, but don't let that fool you. He's very smart and he's brave. And he's laying into Kristi Noem here. This means to me that she is out of that job soon. Go ahead with John Kennedy, U.S. Senator from Louisiana, taking on Kristi Noem.
After the two killings in Minneapolis, and I think there's a lot of video on them, Madam Secretary. I think people can see the video and draw their own conclusions. Are you and your department conducting an investigation of those?
Sir, the investigation is being led by the FBI. HSI was involved. In fact, our HSI agents on the ground.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I got so little time. I believe at the time you said these were acts of domestic terrorism. Is that right?
Sir, in answer to questions at the press conference that afternoon, it was that it appeared to be. Yeah.
But you said these appeared to be acts of domestic terrorism.
And as I've said previously in this hearing, is that
first, Madam Secretary, did you say
we're getting information from a chaotic
reported.
Scene on the ground and relaying information to the American people.
Okay. Now, again, those videos are public. People can draw their own conclusions. I think it'd be safe to say you got some pushback on that. Mm-hmm. Would that be fair?
Yes, sir.
And yet some criticism. I'm not saying the criticism was accurate or inaccurate. I think you did. Mm-hmm. What got my attention was that you blamed those statements on Mr. Stephen Miller at the White House. Did you not?
No, sir, I did not. And in fact, where you're seeing that is in a news article of anonymous sources. And anonymous sources say a lot of things, but I've never said that at all.
Well, here's what you said on the record. I'm going to read your words. Quote, everything I've done at the direction of the president and Stephen.
Wow. All right. He's not playing around. Kristi is done very soon. And I gotta take that all in. That's both bad and it's a little bit good too. Sorry, but it's true.
Greg Kelly on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
General Holt is on the line. General Blaine Holt, new call sign, the Wizard, or maybe we'll call him the Oracle, or man, General Blaine Holt, U.S. Air Force retired. I spoke to him last Wednesday, and he said the bombs will start falling soon after the stock market closes on Friday. And that night, I'm like, didn't they? Haven't started falling yet. They fell, all right. They fell. It started right when he said it would start. Amazing work, General Blaine Holt. How did you know?
I appreciate that. Blind squirrel finds nut, film at 11. But I also know what the luminescence of the moon looks like to night vision goggle wearers, and you really want that to be dialed in. So those two factors kind of got us to where we are, and the politics, of course.
By the way, talk about that night vision goggle stuff, because I use night vision goggles myself. And the curious thing about night vision goggles, you don't necessarily want to use it when it's full moon, and you don't want to use it when it's no moon. At least the night vision goggles that I used in the 90s. They didn't work well if there was too much moon, and they didn't work that well if there was zero moon. What moon did we have the other night?
Still the case. We were up closer to 78%, I think is what it ended up being. But 62 to 80% is really kind of the sweet spot for using NOGs. And, I remember flying into Bagram with a C-17 in a snowstorm, not to make it any more cool, but half the runway was taken out for construction. And with the snow and the bad luminescence, we could barely see anything. And so I know President Trump wants to de-risk everything he can for our service people. And so I'm certain that they painted to him, this is a very, very good opportunity for us.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. By the way, personally, I hated flying with NVGs. I thought it was harder to fly. I'd rather fly in the pitch black than wear those things. It messed with my depth perception. It just was totally weird. I couldn't stand them, except if I was flying low level, I kind of liked them, but landing, oh my God. So, all right. How is this operation going so far?
So far from what I can tell, we're off to a really strong start. We're not out of the woods. This thing could break left or right, but while we lament the loss of our 6 servicemen and women so far, servicemen, those losses are far, far lower than I would have thought after the first 48 hours of conflict with Iran. But we did exactly what a proper air campaign should do. This is to President Trump's credit. He handed it over to the experts. He just gave them the goals and the objectives, and they're meeting them in spades because command and control nodes, intel on the ground to tell us where the bad guys are, taking out launchers, intercepting missiles. It's not a perfect science, but as good as it could go right now, we're far better off than where I thought we'd be at this point. All
right. Well, sounds good. Hey, by the way, when we're looking at these videos that CENTCOM is putting out, like they'll show a vehicle like an old plane on a runway, or let's say the Palace. Everybody has seen that video by now where the Palace gets blown up, and we're watching it. Are we watching it from a drone? Are we watching it from a military aircraft that dropped that bomb? What are we watching?
Typically, you're going to be watching that from a drone, from a MQ-9 or an MQ-1 Predator or a Reaper. But sometimes we'll even have imagery come in from space. But we want to do proper battle damage assessment and things like this. And so that the critical targets, we're going to have real-time video feeds if we can have it to the max extent that we can. And honestly, we've got assets there that are so good and so perfected after 2 fruitless wars in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Now listen to this. I don't believe it. I think it's fake news, amplified by the American media, but it's coming straight from Iranian state television. GK cut 8, please.
Screams of terror as cars and buildings engulfed in flames. One strike hitting an elementary school and killing over 100 people, according to Iranian state media. The US now investigating and working to verify that report, saying it would never deliberately attack civilians.
Never would. And also, what does happen, though, authoritarian regimes come up with this story like every time, every single time. Now, maybe we make the mistake every single time, but I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. We're going to investigate it properly. And if it's a fratricide, we're going to own up to it. Certainly not intentional. But I have never seen in all of my years of military operations, I have never seen more propaganda, more disinformation, deep fakes, outright lies than I have during this conflict. And I think it's all about, there's no unified world that says, hey, it's great that the Ayatollah is gone. In fact, the world has not changed. In fact, there's this legion out there, it's global, that just wants to get Trump at all costs, no matter what. We will defend Venezuelan drug runners. We will defend the mullahs who are trying to make nuclear weapons. But we're going to create narratives, mainstream media, around the world that target Trump. And that's really all they're invested in.
Wow, that's amazing. Hey, this was a really cool moment. I mean, friendly fire does happen. It happens. It happens in every war. We minimize it, but 3 airplanes were shot down by the Kuwaitis, who are our allies, and it was a mistake. But listen to how it turns out. Cut 13, if you don't mind. Cut 13.
You need something to help you? No problem. You're safe. You're safe. Everything good? No problem. Thank you for helping us. Everything perfect?
She is a woman pilot. She's got a big smile on her face. She has her parachute hanging off her back. She just ejected, and she's happy, and she's probably flying a mission right now. I have never in my life seen anything like that. So immediate.
I think she said something like, well, these things happen. That's keeping her cool. Listen, it's a tragic thing where you have, maybe it's a training issue, maybe it's something else, where our 3 airplanes got knocked out in a vulnerable phase of flight on takeoff and departure. But the ejection life support systems all worked out. The Kuwaitis on the ground trying to help us out. And thank goodness they're all alive. I think President Trump's probably going to send the government of Kuwait a bill for 3 F-15Es. But this too will go on. I'm just glad it ended in a peaceful way. At the end of the day, the jets are rentals, but you can't replace those crew members, and we got them back.
Yeah, and these things do happen. It doesn't mean the war is off to a terrible start. These things happen. They do, and it's part of warfare. Do me a favor. Hillary Clinton in 2008. Cut 11, please. Cut 11.
If Iran were to launch a nuclear attack on Israel, what would our response be? And I want the Iranians to know that if I'm the president, we will attack Iran. Whatever stage of development they might be in their nuclear weapons program in the next 10 years, during which they might foolishly consider launching an attack on Israel, we would be able to totally obliterate them.
Well, it's very interesting to see her say that in 2008. I have seen hundreds of headlines since that say Iran is on the verge of a nuclear weapon. There was a time where some action like this would command bipartisan support, correct?
Right. But if she believed those words that she said, then why didn't she just resign as Secretary of State out of protest that Barack Obama did nothing to facilitate the end of their nuclear weapons program, the fake JCPOA agreement? So let's look at 2 presidents. You got President Obama, who sends airplanes full of cash over. We send airplanes full of bombs, and we don't bomb the Iranian people. We go take out their shadowy overlords that have done nothing but persecute the free Iranian people. Hillary Clinton's answer is, let's obliterate Iran. Are you kidding me? That's 90 million innocent lives. That's ridiculous. All you got to do is take out this terrible minority of death cult Shia Islamists, and then we have free Iran back, some of the greatest engineers, thinkers, and innovators in the world. And so what we want to do is not hijack a revolution. We want to allow the Iranian people to take back their country and let them pick their own leader. Thank you. And then let's welcome them into the world community. And this gets to the big prize that President Trump wants, which is the Abraham Accords, demilitarized foreign policy. Let's bring our troops home. Let's all get back to business and trade with each other, and we'll make the world a better place.
Wow. Yeah, she did talk about obliterating the whole country. We don't want to do that. A lot of innocent people. You're right. All right. Blaine Holt, General Holt. What is something you want to say or that you want to be asked that you haven't been asked? I feel like, we ask you a bunch of questions, you answer them perfectly, but what is something that we might be missing that needs to be said, that hasn't been observed, whatever?
Okay, so I wrote an article on Newsmax.com. It's out today. Please go look it up on the Insiders page. But the thing I would say is Iran-Israel is not a stovepiped event. It is a battle in a much bigger global war. This war is with the financialists, the globalists, and President Trump is doing a grand job lighting up the cartels, lighting up the mullahs, lighting up all the illicit activity. And all these craven people want is more war because that's what they've lived off of. You've got to understand this is a much bigger, complex event, and it goes right on through D.C., corruption, and all of it. But this is just one element of a much greater thing. And all these pieces, they're all interlocked. They all relate to each other.
Oh, man. And President Trump is fully aware of this broader campaign, this broader...
Crystal clear. When he lit up the cartels, I knew that he knew, because that's the vascular system to all of it. Absolutely all of it. This is beautiful. The strategy's working wonderfully.
All right. And one other thing, does he need to tell us about all that stuff? I mean, I'm going to go to your article, but I would like to be, should we all be let in on the secret here?
I would love it if he would do that. Sitting at the Resolute desk would be great, but at the same time, he'd be tipping his hat to a lot of folks who are running for it right now. Just look at the lawyering up of President Obama, the lawyering up of the Clintons. You're going to see a lot more of that in the days ahead because there's a lot of people with a lot of dirt on their hands who would really love to see this stuff go away.
Do me a favor. Just give me a little bit of a lead on what. Look, I have my suspicions about Obama, but what is he specifically worried about right now? He was the one who engineered that nuclear deal.
Yeah, well, he's got a lot of problems because he actually put the mullahs in business. He actually gave them a lot of money that would invariably go to killing our people. She's got Benghazi all over her. So does he. And there's been just a lot of illicit activity to indicate everything leading up to Russiagate, where he ran a shadow government on his own, which is antithetical to the Constitution and illegal. So, look, they're part of this globalist kill chain, this financialist kill chain. They're all part of that. And what the president's doing is putting a fire blanket around attempts to create a World War III situation, and then all this accountability can go away. Well, it's not going away. Everything from COVID, Benghazi, Crimea, all of it. It's coming. It's coming, kids. And what I'm going to tell you is, if you see a war, don't you think for 5 seconds that is a little war all by itself. Pakistan, Afghanistan, Cambodia, Thailand, Venezuela, it's all related. President Trump does know that.
Wow. All right, and we'll know it, too, right after I read your article. Thank you very much. General Blaine Holt, you're amazing, sir. Thank you. You told us exactly when this thing would start, and you were right. It's really, really cool. Thank you, sir.
Great to be with you. Thanks.
All right, to be continued. Hey, experts say this flu season is the worst we've seen in years. Either way, you know how this goes. Every year someone in my family gets sick, then everyone gets sick, and suddenly you're fighting to see a doctor. We're stuck waiting in a crowded urgent care. Not this year. I am ready. I ordered a medical emergency kit, and it's been a lifesaver. My kit is stocked with essential prescription medication, antibiotics like a generic Z-Pack to help you recover faster, amoxicillin for pneumonia, strep throat, and ear infections, plus prescriptions for nausea, UTIs, and they've got ivermectin in there. It's simple. Match your symptoms in the guidebook or call the telemedicine doctor standing by. Treat yourself early and feel better faster. No waiting rooms, no pharmacy lines. I love my medical emergency kit, and you should get one too. And I got you $45 off when you use my code GREG, which spells Greg. That's the code. Just go to urgentcarekit.com. urgentcarekit.com/Greg, urgentcarekit.com/Greg, and use that promo code Greg.
Greg Kelly.
Let's go, Brandon.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network. Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hey, is today primary day in Texas? Is today the day? Huh. What do I want to happen here? I'll tell you what I want to happen. Number one, on the Democrat side, I am rooting for Jasmine Crockett. Yes, Jasmine. That is my choice for the U.S. Senate Democrat nominee. All right. Now, I'm no fan of Jasmine Crockett's whatsoever, right? She's a crazy person. She's a bit of a racist, too. What else about her? I just think that if she gets the nomination, she is more beatable than that slick little punky guy I do not like. Tallarico. I do not like him. Number one, he seems awfully phony to me. Number two, I think he's like a Buttigieg. I think he's like in the game of politics for the game of politics, not to help anybody, but because he always looked at himself in the mirror and said, someday I will be a very important person. And he stands in front of all these people and he makes, I think, these very lame, self-indulgent speeches. So here is Tallarico. All right. Tallarico is the white one. There's a white kid and a black woman. I do mean kid. He looks like he's 14 years old. I do not like him. But I think he is harder to beat than Jasmine Crockett. Now, on the Republican side, who do we have? We have John Cornyn, who is pretty much useless in many ways. You know, doesn't like Trump, not into MAGA, but somehow he's held on. What else do and the other one is Ken Paxton, who is definitely more MAGA, but he's also, I don't know, man. He's got some issues there. You know, certain things you can do in public life and certain things you can't. And you can't be, you can't, well, I'll just leave it at that. It would be great if Ken can do this, but I don't know. Can I hear Tallarico, whatever his name? Go ahead.
There is something broken in America. That's because the most powerful people in the world want it that way. Billionaires who want us fighting each other instead of fighting them. They spend so much time and energy keeping us angry and divided by party, by race,
stop,
by gender.
All right, he's full of crap. And with that music, you know what? It didn't take some billionaire to make me angry that the border was wide open. I was upset about that genuinely on the merits. It didn't take somebody else to agitate me on purpose to get me upset about pornographic books in middle school or gender reassignment surgery for children or drag time story hour. You get it? Tallarico? Oh, and you put the music in there. It sounds, the music. Hey, I want Mrs. Guthrie to be found. But one phrase I don't like, bring her home. Every time I read it, I feel guilty, like I'm supposed to do something. It's like an assignment. Bring her home. It's just like those Boko Haram girls. Bring back our girls. I don't have them, dude. Bring back. It just puts the onus on somebody else. I hope they find her. Hope she's okay, but not looking good. All right, so that was Tallarico. And this is Jasmine Crockett, the racist, ignorant, crazy lady. Hit it.
That's number one. Number two.
She's in appeal now. So
okay,
using that line, you're going to pull that back?
I'm about to get to it because that's all y'all.
No one.
No, I said, no.
I'm going to reclaim my time. Since you said we weren't friends, I'm going to reclaim my time.
The time belongs to the gentleman.
I got a real hard time with the Democrats saying that
this is pretty much what it's like for Jasmine Crockett in Congress, right? That's what she brings to the table. Yelling and screaming and saying outrageous stuff and, blaming the white man for everything and talking about, oh gosh. And you know what? People have compared her voice now to what she sounded like 10 years ago. I mean, this whole ghetto thing that she does, it's a total affect. It's totally false, right? She went to law school. She's a learned person, right? Then again, don't get carried away there, Crockett, with the law school. She's like, I went to law school. I'm smarter than everybody else. No, and don't get me started on what law school you went to and how you got in there. I could ask a few questions. Anyway, all that to say, I don't know what the hell's going to happen in Texas. We got to keep that state red, and maybe that's John Cornyn. John Cornyn and Paxton are expected to make it like neither one will get 50%, so they'll run into a primary. And I think that's when President Trump is going to get Ken Paxton to stand down, especially if it's that Pallarico weirdo. Do you think he talks a good game? I think Pallarico, when you listen to him, the first guy, the white guy, I feel like you can see right through this dude. Go ahead. Yeah.
by religion to keep us from realizing that there is far more that unites us than divides us. Because our unity is a threat to their wealth and their power, we will come together across party, across race.
Oh, stop.
Across
crying out loud. And you know what is the most offensive thing about this announcement? They got like Joe Blow people watching him in the audience, and they're like nodding their head, like as if they're hearing something profound, as if they're hearing something that is not just designed to make him look like a glorious divine figure almost. He's got a God complex too. All right, so vote Jasmine Crockett, and I don't know on the other side. I guess I don't know. I can't say.
Thanks for listening to The Greg Kelly Show. You can hear The Greg Kelly Show weekdays at 12:15 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially healthcare. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.